It was a Jewish religious gathering. Think American Thanksgiving, but then add in more tradition and religious ritual. A very special time. Not just observing God's provision, but God's deliverance, God's rescue. God claiming his people as his own. Listen to what was taking place during Holy Week. Then came the day of unleavened bread on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, "Go and make preparations for us to eat the Passover." "Where do you want us to prepare for it?" they asked. He replied, "As you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters, and say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher asks, where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' He will show you a large room upstairs, all furnished. Make preparations there." They left and found things just as Jesus had told them. So they prepared the Passover. Then comes a very powerful moment. These disciples had become Jesus' family. They were close. Who better to experience the Passover with? This was the most important observance. When the hour came, Jesus and his apostles reclined at the table. He sat down, all the disciples with him. The preparations had been made. The table before them with the dishes of the solemn Passover supper, each dish telling its own part of the old loved story of the great deliverance God had provided his people. And he said to them, "I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer." A special meal. And Jesus had been longing with an intense longing to keep this last Passover with them. You see, religious ceremonies have been tossed aside as meaningless in our generation. Why do you need all that meaningless religious stuff? Some want to know. Well, the answer is really very simple. It's not about our doing it. It's not about the ritual. It's about God meeting us in a very special and personal way in the remembering. God desires to assure you that just as he's been with you in the past, he will continue to be with you right now, and he will be with you in the future. That's what we call being in God's presence. People who've never experienced it just don't get it. So they see a bunch of meaningless activities that they don't grasp. It's in that moment that Jesus said, "You have no idea how much I've looked forward to eating this Passover meal with you before I enter into my time of suffering." There's that word. What does Jesus mean by my time of suffering? Suffering is undergoing distress. That's not the compassionate, concerned, merciful, encouraging teacher they'd been following for 3 years. They couldn't grasp why the all-powerful Son of God would be experiencing a time of suffering. So why was Jesus feeling a time of distress? Perhaps it was because of the last farewell. We've experienced a separation from a dear friend, and when the time builds up to that, it becomes very difficult. A separation was approaching. He knew what that would do to them, what that would do to us. Perhaps it was because Jesus knew what was coming in the next hours. And still, the disciples were the flawed, self-centered individuals who were clueless about what Jesus was about to do for them, even though he told them several times clearly. Perhaps it was because Jesus was familiar with the suffering he would face personally. The scriptures pointed to the Messiah as despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. That was in Isaiah 53. There's a time of suffering in Psalm 22 as well. But for this moment, Jesus looked forward to eating this Passover meal with those who were the closest to him. The supper itself had its special forms and ceremonies, which the Lord transformed in such a way to change it into the sacred Last Supper of the New Testament. It would commemorate a far greater deliverance than that of Exodus, deliverance of the disciples and you and me from the power of sin. For I tell you, I will not eat it again until it finds fulfillment in the kingdom of God. The Passover feast is solemnly put to an end, replaced by the deliverance of the cross. I will not eat it again until it finds fulfillment in the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, which was to be founded after his resurrection. The kingdom of God commenced with the resurrection of Jesus. The Christian church is born out of that time at Pentecost. And now we enjoy a constant celebration of Holy Communion. In this verse, we can observe a profound moment that occurs during the Last Supper. By choosing this moment, Jesus emphasizes the importance of this meal, not merely as a tradition, but as a transformational event. One that's all about his mission on earth. Forgiveness, transformation, new life. When Jesus mentions his eager desire, it indicates more than a simple wish. It showcases his dedication and connection to his followers. This moment is not just about breaking bread. It's about establishing a new covenant between God and humanity. Jesus understands the gravity of the situation, knowing that he'll soon face arrest and crucifixion. Yet his focus remains on his disciples and the message he wants to impart to them and to us. Jesus' words remind us that even in despair, there's hope and an invitation to a deeper relationship with him. Today, discover the power of passionate love. His suffering reflects the depth of his heart for you. I close with these words from the Bible, a reminder that Jesus' suffering would provide something so powerful. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us.